Welcome to the Project, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And this week we watched the surfing documentary. What's it called?
The Big Wave Project.
The Big Wave Project. That's a good start, isn't it?
From 2017.
2017, something a bit different. We say that quite often, don't we? It's a bit
only
different.
our second documentary, the first one being Project Nim.
Yeah.
So it's nice to go back into the world of docos.
We had Grizzly Project as well. Project Grizzly as well. I was thinking there must have been something else. And we had the Laramie Project, which was like a semi.
Yeah.
It was a.
I did think that, but I didn't count it.
It was very good, but
Yeah, it was very good, but.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. So if you want to skip ahead, we've got time codes in the episode description. Before that, how are you, Lewis?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Feeling a bit tired, but yeah.
January, isn't it? It's tired month.
It is a tired month. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, same, pretty much. Same. There was something I was going to mention. Did you see the Oscar nominations?
Yes, of course. Everything Awards. My film of the year, as we mentioned in our Best of 2022, swept the nominations.
It did, yeah. And the previous award ceremonies that have been already has done very well.
11 nominations for Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, and was Michelle Yeoh's the first Asian Best Actress nomination?
Yes.
Is that right? Which is crazy, but
yeah.
not that she's got it, but the fact that she's the first to.
Yeah, I also thought it was funny that they had two people for Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, really? Oh, what? Both from
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, is it Jamie Lee Curtis as well?
Yes,
yeah.
and
I haven't looked at all of them, to be honest.
Stephanie Sue, the daughter.
Yeah, the daughter, that makes sense.
Well deserved.
Yeah, I had to look through the Best Picture, and most of them I was kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. There was a couple that I was like, oh, okay, like Avatar. Yeah, I mean, I can see why it's made a splash, but yeah, it's and
Top Gun.
I agree with that a little bit more.
No, I did really like it, but it's not really the sort of thing that usually gets an Oscar nomination, is it?
It'll probably be Fabelmans that wins.
Fabelmans,
that's like
Hollywood. I'm hoping for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Seeing as I gave it my best film, it'd be nice if the Academy agree with me.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and make my way through as many of them as I can.
Yeah, I really want to see Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus, so I'm going to give that a watch. And apparently Tar's quite good, although the trailer looks very like, art house kind of intensity.
I went to the cinema on Monday. I'll talk about personal projects, but I was with my friend who did a double billing of the film we saw and Tar.
Oh, nice. Tar first or Tar?
Tar second. I didn't see it with him because I was like, I can't do two artsy deep films back to back.
There's a little tease there of what that may be.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can look in the episode description, find out exactly what it is.
It was quite funny. Literally, as soon as credits came up, he got up and ran out because the other film was starting at that time.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Yeah.
There was another thing I was going to mention. Oh, did you see that Poirot? We had the whole Death on the Nile sequel. We tried to guess what it was called.
Yeah.
And what did we guess it was going to be called?
Something in Venice or something like that.
It is called A Haunting in Venice. So we absolutely smashed that one. I don't think did they say he was going to Venice at the end?
No.
We just looked up based on
Poirot
stories
and what would be a good location.
So yeah, I thought I'd mention that up front because we absolutely knocked that out. I think I was like a nobleman in Venice, which I think is what the story was or something like that.
I'm glad they're making our film because those first two were pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen people kind of starting to play the guessing game of who will get cancelled in this ensemble cast because there was a couple of people in the last one. Armie Hammer was the main one.
Yeah.
Can't remember who else, but yeah, I can't remember who's been cast in this, but a couple of names have been released already. So nice. I don't think the last one did particularly well.
It was
COVID
part
and Disney
and it was that Fox Disney takeover, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so it just kind of dumped on Disney Plus with no celebration around it.
Yeah, and it was fine. I like the first one. The first one was good.
Yeah, I preferred the first one to the second, but they're both pretty good. So I'll watch the third one. It'll probably be Disney Plus again, won't it?
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah, or know. They might put it to the cinema because they can.
Maybe.
Because they can. Depends on how much they believe in it.
But the mouse likes adding to Disney Plus.
The mouse.
All hail the mouse.
All hail the mouse.
Yeah. Disney, if you want to pay us to promo one of your things, we are there.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? While we're talking about it, I will just look up A Haunting in Venice, because we probably won't get to talk about it until it comes out, which apparently 2023.
Okay.
Kenneth Branagh, of course. We've got Jamie Dornan.
Okay.
Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, she's in fucking everything now.
Tina Fey.
Right.
I'm skipping the people that I don't recognize. I don't recognize anyone else from this. So yeah, so Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Dornan, Yeoh and Dornan, and Tina Fey. Yeah, I imagine. I don't know. Don't think any of those guys are going to get cancelled. Hopefully.
Oh, I hope not.
No. Yeah, there's a load of people, of course, else in it as well. But 2023. That seems a little bit early, to be honest, doesn't it? But.
Well, it's only the start of 2022. I thought that was a bit late.
September the 15th, apparently.
Oh, 2023.
2023. That's what I'm saying.
Ages. Yeah. Oh, wait, it is 2023.
This is what I'm saying.
Shit.
So it's already going to come out, apparently. Not already. Anyway, so enough of this nonsense here. What's the first segment, Lewis?
Oh, I believe it goes something like this. Project News.
Woo-hoo.
I've got 2 bits of news this week, both about stuff.
How did you find them?
I googled the word project, as I always do, and picked out a couple of bits of news.
Very good.
So the first one is a review on rogerebert.com, simply titled The 1619 Project.
Okay.
So there is a new Hulu 6-part documentary series called The 1619 Project.
Oh my God.
About the history of black people in America.
Okay, cool.
And I think Roger Ebert's rating system only goes up to 4. So
That's
3 stars out of 4 is pretty good.
Yeah.
It premiering today on January the 26th. So it's on Hulu. So I don't know if it's gonna be on UK TV, or we might have to ask
old
somebody
matey down the road.
Yeah, but apparently it's quite good, and kind of going through. I guess 1619 will be a significant year, and kind of the transatlantic slave trade, and it probably
it looks like it's based on a book. There's 1619 Project, and there's one called Born on the Water, and one a new origin story. So I don't know which one it's based on, if any. But yeah, it says, one of the ships arrived in Virginia, maybe the first ship that had slaves on it. That would make sense based on the time, doesn't it?
Sensible starting point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could be quite interesting. If it's on somewhere we can watch it, I might give it a look.
Yeah. So it just dropped today as time of recording.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's
if it's Hulu, then it might just go Disney Plus, because that's our equivalent.
Oh, is it?
So it maybe once all the episodes are out, it might then come out.
I might have a quick look on Disney Plus to see if they, because that would be good, because I might actually watch it there.
That would be
and then we could cover it for the pod.
Yeah, I mean, we could
1619 in the title.
We could either do all in one if it's a short number of episodes, or we could do it week by week potentially. But I imagine it will drop all at once, so it might be worth just doing an overall thoughts on it kind of thing.
On Disney Plus yet, but it may come.
I mean, a lot of documentary series, it's like 3, 4, 6 episodes, so we could probably watch it in a short amount of time if it drops in one go.
Yeah, I can't find the Wikipedia page, annoyingly, but we'll look into that.
Yeah, that's a nice little tease for the future.
Exactly. The other thing I've got is a tease for the future as well, but not for us.
Okay.
It is Project Wolf Hunting Review. Korean horror brings Bruckheimer-esque bombast. This is from The Guardian, who gave it 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And I was like,
That's the same rating you gave it, effectively, isn't it?
It's funny that they literally reviewed this like 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Just after we reviewed it.
Wow, just after we put all our little episodes and that up. Our little episodes.
Maybe Phil Hode at The Guardian saw our review and was like, oh, let's have a look at that.
Yeah, maybe.
Some of this review is quite funny. It says, It says, if you had £1 for every slashed jugular and staved in cranium in this Korean horror thriller, you'd probably have more than the film's entire budget. This seems to have been spent mostly on supplies of fake blood.
Yep. Does it say 2 gallons of fake blood?
It doesn't say, no. But yeah,
it may as well do. Yeah,
but it's quite a positive review. Just saying it's just kind of fun,
a fun, like, intense action slasher, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the line, if you've ever wanted to see a man beaten to death with his own arm, you've come to the right place.
Oh, I did love that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if anyone hasn't listened to our previous episode on Project Wolf Hunting, which is number 74, feel free to check it out. We do a bit of a non-spoiler bit for about 20 minutes at the start, so you can skip through that. Or skip to that and check out our initial thoughts. We've also got a kill count on YouTube that's still there at the moment, hasn't yet been taken down. So if you're not fussed about the plot and you just want to see all those gory, bloody moments, including the man getting his arm ripped off and then beaten to death with it, they're all on there. So go check that out on our YouTube channel. All in the link tree in the episode description.
As The Guardian says, the real main character is gratuitous carnage.
Can't disagree with that. No.
Yeah. But it says on the bottom here that it's where'd it go?
It must be getting some sort of
It's
release,
available on the Icon Film channel on the 30th of January and in UK cinemas 10th of March.
Okay, right.
So it might actually get a cinema run.
Okay, yeah.
I guess if The Guardian's reviewing it,
they must be doing it for a reason.
So it might actually get something big. So when that comes out, we might have to direct everyone to the fact that we were 2 months ahead of the time.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as it starts getting any kind of publicity, we need to just jump straight on that.
Yeah, because we've done that. We've covered
We've
that.
done it already.
But
there's quite a lot of videos about it on YouTube. I was looking earlier. We are quite far down if you scroll, but we'll get there. It's only been posted a little while, and the episode's actually not even on YouTube yet. The clip's up there first. So.
Fair enough. A little teaser for our YouTube subscribers.
Exactly. A little one for them. But no, that's good. That's good because we literally spoke about that last week, didn't we? We were like, when we were talking about it at the end, we were saying, it does deserve a bigger audience than it's got at the moment.
That's why I thought, the fact the Guardian's reviewing it, that's worthwhile.
That's perfect because we kind of I think you sent me the IMDb like sometime before Christmas, and we were like, we'll cover that at some point.
Yeah.
Just thought might as well get the new year off with a bang or a splash or
a splash of blood.
Splash of blood. There we go.
But yeah, that is the project news for the week.
Oh.
So one thing we may watch soon and one thing that you will watch soon.
Me? To be fair, I practically had to watch the whole film again when that compilation.
When I watched your kill count, I was like, this is pretty much the entire film.
I was like, I was going to almost put like, can you guess what happens in the film based on these kills? Because you pretty much can.
Yeah.
It's even got like a lot of the plot that's based around specific kills and how they happen. But,
definitely. Yeah. Anyway, shall we go into our main event, which is the Big Wave Project of 2017 documentary about surfing, as you said up top.
That's it, yeah.
So directed by Tim Bonithon.
Yeah. Or Bonathon, maybe.
Well, it's Bonython.
Bonathon.
Bonithon, probably. Who's basically built a career out of filming people surfing.
Yeah, and you can tell because it's all done very well, isn't it?
A lot of he very much knows how to where to put the camera and get the best shots of people in the waves, and there is a lot of it in this film.
A lot of it. I don't know what percentage of it is.
I would say over half of it is just shots of people surfing.
Yeah, even some of it without direct commentary over it.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of it is kind of atmospheric music, isn't it?
Yeah. There's interesting changes in it. Sometimes it's like an upbeat like dance thing. Sometimes it's like kind of a punky song.
Yeah, like quite
instrumental.
Like heavy kind of guitars. Like,
it's like, okay. It's directed, produced and everything by Tim. So he's kind of the main.
Did it say anywhere how long it had been filmed for? Because it seemed like it covered quite a long period.
I think at least probably a year, because they go to various, maybe a few years, they go to various different locations.
2017 it was released, so at least a couple of years back from that. And they do little dives back into the history of because it's big wave surfing is what it's
big
called,
wave surfing, so it's not just any old surfing, it's people hunt out for these like 50-foot waves and just go down. I've got Star and it's just got a load of surfers,
just a list of surfers. I'd never really watched anything like this before. It reminded me a little bit of when you see like skate compilations and it has like the little names in the bottom. That's the closest I've ever
when I first started watching it, I thought it was just the credits, but then they come up throughout the film because it has a little name of the person that's doing
because they're not always recognized when it's not to us from the distance that it's filmed at, but quite often it'll be the talking head and then it will show them and it kind of matches it up with the name, doesn't it?
Yes. Do you want to have a guess at the IMDb score? The IMDb, it's got 45 reviews.
Okay
so it's absolutely nothing.
Nothing there.
I saw both a 1-star review and a 10-star review.
That's the thing I'm thinking. I mean, I imagine the people that seek this out are probably into it already. So that probably puts it like 6.8.
7.6.
Gonna go 7, but I thought it was a bit high.
Yeah, one of our higher ones.
Yeah.
Like the waves.
As high as those waves. And a lot of the guys in it, I'd imagine, as well.
So before we get into it, the Google description, it's more of a review for some reason, but it says, The Big Wave Project is a masterful, award-winning documentary on the art of big wave riding from veteran Australian surf filmmaker Tim Bonathan. For 5 years, Tim followed a tight-knit crew of the world's best big wave surfers as they each attempted a personal goal to ride the world's biggest wave.
Okay, yeah. I feel like some of that is kind of lost in the actual structure of the
film. I feel like
film.
it's a lot looser than that. It's just like go location to location, interviewing random people.
Yeah, and a couple of them, they have their little anecdote, and there's a couple of moments that stood out to me.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about in detail in a moment. But overall, I think it would have almost been, not to criticize it too early, but based on that description and maybe what the plan was, it would have been nice to focus for a third of the film on a character. And maybe see a bit of their like, this journey. Is me going to the wave, and then them talking about it, you know?
Yeah, whereas what they've really done is they've got maybe like 20, 30 surfers and been like, right, talk to me about big wave surfing. Like, anything you want to say. And then have just stuck that all together.
And stuck it together and then matched that with relevant footage kind of thing, which I guess that's pretty standard documentary.
Like, I did, like it. We'll do fairly spoiler free.
Yeah. I mean,
although there's not really any spoilers.
No. I mean, if we talk about it kind of, I don't know. I don't really know the best way to do it, really. I mean, if we talk about it kind of generally, like, what kind of things did you like about it?
So, I liked the people who are interviewing. I like them. They're clearly really passionate about like their hobby, and like
they've all got really interesting perspectives on it. Some of them I agree with, some of them didn't. Like, obviously, it's quite a kind of extreme sport in a lot of ways. In ways that you don't really realize until they get into some of the consequences of what happens to, if it goes wrong. But some of them, they talk about like their point of view on like death, and like one guy is like, it's going to happen to us all. You might as well happen while you're doing something you love. And like, I can see the appeal of that, but also it's like, but you don't have to go and like risk your like neck doing something like this.
I do think it almost lacked a narrative driving through. Like, it probably could have been cut down a bit, because it is just kind of, here's this wave and now they're in this location. Here's this guy talking about his experience, which is cool, but seems like the sort of structure you have in like a 30-minute YouTube documentary rather than like an hour and a half film.
And there's, like I say, there's one point where something there's a point towards the start that has like a record breaking bit, which like we can go through the kind of bits we remember off this general bit, but there's a record breaking bit at the start. There's like a bad thing that happens in the middle. And then there's a bit about the new place and the competition at the end. And everything between that is almost like, they wouldn't even call them vignettes, because like, there's just like, here's a bit about this place for a bit. And because it felt like it was made for people who like surfing. So a lot of the terminology as well, I'm like, I don't really understand a lot of this. Like, I had to look up what slab surfing was because they talk about that a lot. I've got a little link here if you want to look at that anyway. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, obviously like you say, the cinematography
is great.
Is great. There's some amazing shots of waves, and I think it gets more extreme as you go through, because that final place they find in Portugal,
just ridiculous.
It's just crazy. And even some of the shots of like the coastline, like the last place has this amazing rock formation with like buildings at the top, and the waves are like crashing on this, and it's like
some of the shots were great where you had like a crowd of people on like the edge of a cliff or something looking at but it's like a long shot and you can see the wave like way above them in the distance, and it's like it really brings scale
the sense of scale,
the waves.
Yeah, it's really good. And one thing I thought was really interesting was how they talk about like the support crew that they have. So they've got loads of guys, because it's not necessarily because it's a money-making thing, because a lot of them talk about how they were self-funded, and or one guy's like, I had a great job for 10 years and then I paid off my house and I just do this. I'm like, good for you, man. Like, good for you, but also that's not something that most people can do.
No.
But yeah, they talk about,
I think he was like unfortunate that I managed to do that.
Yeah. And they show like there's jet ski guys that come and pick them up if they're in trouble. And there's even a whole discussion later on about the two different types. There's tow in and paddle in or something like that.
It's the one you paddle in and one your jet ski takes you in.
Pulls you in. And they talk about how the benefits of both. And they say the tow in method kind of opened up certain things for the paddling, because it made you think, I can attempt certain things, and it's pushing boundaries and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it seems like the last like 10, 15 years, the whole thing has developed so much, it's getting bigger, and like the sense of community really stood out.
That was
there's
really
one
nice
bit fairly early on where one guy's like, even if I don't like a guy, if he goes down, I'm gonna like risk my life to get him. And I was like, I guess in kind of an extreme sport that's like kind of a small knit community, you're gonna have that.
You almost have to have each other's backs, because you would want them to do the same for you.
Exactly.
So it's almost, I think they say like when they're out on the waves, you're all just like equal kind of thing. It's a very kind of, obviously it's quite like hippie like mindset, the whole thing. It's very chilled and laid back because they're surfers, you know. It's very much what you'd expect. But I can't remember a lot of the names, unfortunately, of the guys in it, but I've written down a couple of bits.
I remember one guy
in my notes, but like there were some interesting characters, and there's a guy that we see a couple of times throughout who I think is the first record-breaking guy, and he's also the guy who has the issue in the middle.
Yeah,
it's the same
his name
guy.
Aaron.
Aaron something.
Yeah.
Aaron something. Sorry if you're listening, Aaron. I'm sure we could look up his name.
But yeah, they were cool guys. Like they all seemed like pretty chill, and I was like, I like that. Like I'd like to hang out with these guys. They seem fun.
Aaron Gold. Yeah. He broke the record for the biggest paddling wave, 80 foot.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty cool story, because so we'll just talk about it as we talk about it. They talk about how he was kind of in the right place at the right time, and he'd gone out and he waited out at the right point or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was the only one out of the whole group that managed to catch that.
There's another guy talking about this at the same time. I'm just going into it now.
Yeah.
He's like, like some of the waves were like crazy, and they're like, we're like everyone who goes out there, like the adrenaline kicks in, but like, there's still a big element of fear. He's like, I think everyone gets scared when they go out there. Well, except Aaron. And then it cuts to him, and we see this big fucking 80-foot wave, and it's like fuck, and he cuts to him, and he's just like some other guy.
He's just chill, and I think he does have like it's not really a wipeout, but he does get kind of caught at the end of that one after he like finishes it, and he says like one of the other guys came up to him and is like, you don't have to surf anymore today, like that's fine, you've proved yourself kind of thing. He doesn't say whether he goes back out again, but...
No. A lot of throughout this film I kept thinking of Surf's Up.
I've never seen Surf's Up.
How you've never seen Surf's Up is great.
Is it? That's like penguins doing surf.
It's birds. It's mostly main characters are penguins. but it's about a penguin who goes to like a surf competition in like Hawaii, and it's filmed as like a mockumentary.
Oh, is it? Right.
So which is why it kind of got vibes from that. It's got like the legends who are like talking and they're competing for like this championship, and I was like,
so it's like, it is very similar then,
it is really cool. I recommend watching Surf's Up.
I might do. It's DreamWorks, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. But
I think
it's Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, fair. I think I played a demo of the PS2 game of it. So
that could be quite fun. There's not really a lot of surfing games.
No.
Like, they could make like a Tony Hawk's equivalent.
Yeah,
for surfing.
I've been playing a little bit of it's called Steep, and it's like all snow sports stuff, and it's like a free roam situation, so you can kind of teleport yourself up to the top of a mountain, just like snowboard down it or ski down it, and that's really good fun. So I can imagine they did something similar with big waves, like you just plunk yourself in the ocean and just with all like like with like, you know, like there's like Assassin's Creed have had the ones with the pirate ships. They've done really good water simulations and stuff. You could probably do something really good like that.
It is a Shia LaBeouf, Jeff Bridges, and Zooey Deschanel.
Jeff Bridges, surfing games. Let's see if there's any good surfing games. Not from the looks of things.
It's a shame because like skateboarding's got some great games, not just Tony Hawk.
I suppose sometimes it might need that figure like Tony Hawk to push it forward. There's a 2002 game, Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer, so that was obviously they're trying to be Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. GameCube and PS2 and Xbox. Then there was a 1987 game. And we've got a couple of GameCube ones. Yeah, some super early games here. So no, nothing much.
Fair enough.
I really had this question at the start, like, how different is it to normal surfing? Because I didn't realize that this was a whole different, and it's not. It's not really a whole. Like, sorry if anyone's a big wave surfer listening. From a outside perspective, it's a more extreme version of it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of smaller wave surfing is all about, you can do like tricks and stuff like in skate, like you can go up into the air like holding your board and that like a skateboarding type thing,
or you can do like a long distance getting pushed along kind of thing,
and like whereas this is just going up a big wave and holding your own kind of thing
and then escaping the kind of pull of it. No, it's fair enough. I mean, the more community thing seemed to be something they talked about a lot, which you mentioned. Like they said regular surfing is quite a solo sport because you can just go out, you don't need to be so worried about your safety, which is one part of it, and you're not so kind of, it's not as well, I suppose it is showy, but it's not as showy in the same way, you know.
I've got a note here after the 80-foot thing being like, there's lots of cool big wave surfing shots here. These waves look amazing. And that could have been taken from any part of the film because that is half this film.
That's like 20 minutes in and you're like, okay, we got another 4 of those to go.
It's just like, oh, here's another cool shot. Oh, that's another. Oh, is he going to fall? I don't think I've ever seen people fall off a surfboard as much as I have in the last day. No,
and there's some good bits coming up. But one of the first bits at the start is a guy talking very broadly about surfing, and he's like, it's the most magical, the most radical thing, and I was like, yep, and then he's like, with that, and he talks about how powerful the ocean is, and he's like, without the ocean there wouldn't be any surfing, and I was like, yep, no shit. Like, I quite like these guys. There's a kind of chill naivety about them in a way. Not all of them, but the guy who was speaking at that point.
So one of the first significant bits that I've got is when they find a remote location that's got like a big rock in the middle of the sea, like just going straight up.
That does something to the direction of the wave or something, doesn't it?
And there's one guy, you see it, where he's going up this big wave and the board just goes behind him and he just face plants the thing, and he's like, he thought he was something wrong with him, and they dragged him onto the boat, and we see the X-rays, and he's just got like 20 splint bones in his leg.
He's like standing, but they say the adrenaline was keeping him upright. And it was torn ligaments, broken bones, and he's like, oh, it really shook me. Like that was the first time that made me think about like the seriousness of this whole thing. And then it just went. and that was the closing scene to Point Break 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? It's like, what?
I haven't seen Point Break 2, so
no. I mean, I don't know if I've seen Point Break.
I don't think I have either.
Point Break 2. Yeah. How weird. Oh no, Point Break 2 script.
Is it a joke? Is he making a joke?
I don't know. I think so. Oh no, there was a 2015 Point Break.
That would be about the right time,
but it's
it?
just called Point Break.
Okay, so that's not the
maybe
original
that's
Point Break, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, this is the bit where they're like death will happen. Like, I think they were saying like one or two people in the big wave surfing community die like every year. And they describe it as like the most dangerous sport in the world. And it was like, to be fair, if that amount of people are dying in that small community, that is pretty dangerous.
Yeah. It does say, I'm looking at the description of the Point Break remake, and there is a bit at the end with a wave engulfing someone. So I guess they used just that footage maybe and just went, yeah. We'll just match it up to the outfits, I guess, and just rather than getting like a stunt guy to get knocked out in a way.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
The way I thought it was like they were filming, like he was part of the film, and they just completely underplayed that. Like, oh yeah, I was also filming Point Break 2 at the time. It's like, no, they used that as the final shot. Which
makes more sense. And I guess for a film, you're going to want a big wave kind of scene.
Yeah.
So.
There was a bit where this is a bit where they're talking about like the dangers of it and all that, which you said about the death toll and that sort of thing. Is this the part where they do like the in memoriam thing and they kind of show loads of the people that have died? And there's some guys like they were like 25 and stuff. I don't even know if there was any younger ones.
I had a friend die surfing when he was like 21. Shit. And it was like, it's fucking.
It can be super dangerous.
It can be dangerous because it's one of those, if you get caught in the current or anything and you don't know what way's up. Yeah. And you like hit a rock or something.
Or even the boards, because like surfboards can be pretty sturdy. Like I'm used to like I'm surfing all the time. Like, you know, like bodyboards and stuff like that, which are quite often kind of foam or rubber kind of, like a poly whatever. Whereas these are like proper surfboards are like, I don't know if the big wave ones are the same, but they looked like pretty sturdy.
In Surf's Up, they literally cut down like a tree and carve it into the shape of a surfboard. Okay, so that's how I just imagine what they have as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Like solid wood.
There's a guy who he says like his jaw got like ripped off.
Yeah.
But I don't really, he looks fine, so I think he was just bullshitting. And then he talks about like, he says like, oh, thank God I didn't get knocked out because I had to like sort myself out, like get himself out. And he was like, oh, everyone's just on Instagram these days. If they were all looking at their phones instead of helping me. And I was like,
that was such a weird comment.
And on like the other hand, we get bits like there's a bit coming up where a guy like gets saved by someone springing into action and the whole team like jumping around. So it's like bookended by this guy being like, I saved myself because no one was looking out for it. It's like, you're clearly the only one in this situation.
Yeah, maybe he's like, the rest of the community don't really like him and he's a bit of a dick.
They're like, we'll save anyone apart from that guy. Old face ripping off guy.
The next one I've got is the bad thing. So
this is Aaron Gold again.
Aaron Gold, who did the 80 foot, and we don't see what happens, but they're like Aaron. We hear a guy actually was introduced. The guy's like, he got a call from Aaron's wife or something saying like Aaron got hurt.
And he's like, oh, my blood ran cold, and I thought he died.
Then we see these people on jet skis.
They have kind of like a stretcher that they like like a drag along stretcher situation. Don't they?
And they drag him over to this boat, and we literally like these people filming from another boat of like these surf guys, like giving him CPR. Yeah, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to watch this guy.
That's what
die.
I thought. And it kind of shows it for a good minute or so, and then it kind of fades to black, and then it says like he didn't breathe for 7 minutes.
7 minutes, yeah.
And it's like, fuck. And he's there, it's like you can hear them all being like, Aaron, and like the guy's fucking pumping his chest. And like, I was watching it with Amy, who's done health and safety, first aid stuff recently. She was like, I think he's doing the compressions too fast.
Yeah,
he was really fucking going for it.
I've I was literally, we do first aid courses at my work, funnily enough.
Yeah.
So I come across people doing it quite a lot, and I was literally talking about the other day. So I actually my first aid training.
Okay, yeah, like a refresher.
Yeah, and like that was too fast, and also like 85% of people who get CPR die. Like it's not got a great success rate.
Okay, yeah,
CPR. So when I saw this, I was like, this guy's. I don't want to see the fact that this guy's dying.
No. And then we kind of cut to we don't see him like wake up on the boat, do we?
No, but we get told that he like his mates have saved him essentially, and then we get him like come to shore. He's walking in.
He walks in, and we're like, "Fuck!"
And everyone's like, "Oh man!" And it's like
7 minutes. What's the part where you start getting brain damage?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look that up.
I imagine he then went and sat down and went to a hospital.
10 minutes, it says. Yeah, it's probably the adrenaline thing, so it was probably pumping through him as soon as his heart started back up again. But it kind of it really kind of hits home the fact that we've had like 3 things in a row that's like, damn, this shit is dangerous, and then they kind of just brush over it and they're like, now it's cool and we're all surfing.
they do then go into a bit about how over the last 10 years, as it's increasing in popularity, the safety measures are coming in way more because there's more interest.
Yeah, I think this is where they talk about, because there's the guy who sprang in to save him, who was one of the jet ski guys. He talks about it and he says how he just automatically did it, and he was ex-military, so he had like the training drilled into him,
and a lot of them wear like blow up swimsuits these days, so you can like put like gas canisters in and blow it up with air, so that if they do go under, they'll float up to the top, which obviously isn't 100% foolproof because that could get pierced by a rock or something. I think it was a case of it, you almost like a parachute pull it to have it go as well. So if you're knocked out, I don't know how effective it is. No, but it's kind of, it's a step in the right direction kind of thing. And they talk about how safety is rapidly improving, which is a good thing when it's the self-described world's most dangerous sport.
And then about 30 minutes in, we get the first women on screen in the whole thing. And there's about 5 minutes where it's just got 2 women talking about
They do kind of reference how like it's a male-dominated sport, but one of them was like she came second in the surfing like world championships or something, and then moved into big wave surfing.
That's right.
Instead,
because she was sponsored and everything, and she said I think she lost the sponsorship and when she went into big wave surfing or something like that,
because she just wanted to do it. But she mentions that like women in the sport is growing, but we don't see it in this documentary. So
no,
it's still got a while to go.
Yeah, I feel like it would be good to see like a full one that's all about women surfers and like the kind of more underdog side of it in a way.
Yeah, and kind of the battles they've had to face to be recognised.
Because you see the one woman and then you see another one and they're kind of cut together. They both look fairly similar, so it's kind of like you don't really get full time with either of them, which is a bit of a shame. And then it kind of cuts to Australia, I think, and we get this is when they're talking about slab surfing.
Yes, they say because Australia's got like the reefs and stuff, like the coral reef and things.
Yeah,
it means the ground under the sea goes from like really deep to really shallow quite quickly, like an underwater cliff.
Oh, so it kind of pushes
it means there's a load of water hitting that cliff, and it pushes it up.
I see.
So it creates these big waves. So because Australia's got so many like big reefs, it's a great area for surfing. I was like, that makes sense.
Okay, well, let me read this description here and see how well that matches up with exactly what you said.
Multiple sources.
Did you do any research? Is
that
based on that? No. Okay. Well, traditional surfing waves roll towards shore, slow down as they rise up, and break cleanly to one or both sides. A slab wave moves fast through deep water and hits a shallow reef at full speed. It lifts out of nowhere within seconds, sucks the water out of the shallows in front of it, and then slams shut in a violent thump. The power and danger of a slab comes as much from the thickness as the height. For a surfer, riding one of these beasts is like escaping from a collapsing parking garage.
What? Wow. So it was pretty accurate.
That's from outside online there. No, yeah, absolutely. I think I might have, when you just miss one little bit of description, and I could figure you can see that they look different. They are chunkier.
Yeah, see, that's one thing that I'd never really thought about, but so like when you draw a wave and it just goes up and curve, there's some like that, but then there's ones that are just like level at the top going back.
It's almost like,
so it's got that whole weight of water around it.
Yeah, so and it's much thicker at the back. So the vertical part is much more extreme. It curls over a little bit at the top, and then it's way thicker behind it. Because it's got this massive water kind of,
which means it's way more like powerful on the crashing.
And they were saying, you get lots of these, like you say, in Australia because of certain things like reefs and that. And there's one guy who describes them as mutant beasts. Did you hear that? He's like, when one of these mutant beasts is coming at you in like a very Australian accent, which I'm not going to try and replicate. And there's a bit where they talk about the difference between regular surfing and big wave surfing. And this guy is talking about like, people love watching people in danger. He's like, people love watching people drown. He's like, if I started shouting that someone was drowning, you'd get 100 people down there watching and only like 4 of them would be trying to help. And I'm like, I don't fully agree with that, but there is something to people like watching like a calamity, don't they?
Yeah, and I think that there's also this element of people that do extreme sports is that they like people in the public watching them do extreme sports. There's some sort of validation and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit of like
it's fair enough. If I was capable of doing something like that, I'd want people to see me doing it.
Well, it's like the whole Daredevil, not the Marvel character, but Evel Knievel kind of situation. If you're doing it on your own, you're doing it for yourself, but it's a showmanship kind of thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
There's an element of that. Although with these guys, it seems to be kind of 50-50. Like some of them seem to be doing it for themselves. Some of them seem to be doing it as kind of part of a thing.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised about how many of them have got like a wife and kids. And it's like, they just go around the world and spend their summer surfing. And then like, they do mention that like they train all year round because they can't surf all year round. So
although between the two hemispheres and the different places, and they talk about that towards the end about the progressions with predicting waves and stuff. But you probably, I think they did say you could kind of do they did start doing tours now.
Well, I think there's one guy who says he lives in Hawaii, and I imagine he's moved to Hawaii because they've got big waves and kind of based himself there. They've got a bit now as well where they talk about when they know about the waves. Sometimes when they're in Australia, they get up at like 3 a.m. Do like a 3-hour drive, so they're there for like the whole day.
Yeah, there was an American guy, and he was like, when we do this at home, it's like an hour drive at most. It's like, there's a fucking long ass thing. Yeah, because you see that like, in regular surfing as well, people get up at the crack of dawn. And they make the most of the day, and they're there, or maybe they're there till like lunchtime, and then they just like chill for the rest of the day, or go to work or whatever.
It's probably knackering.
I was thinking that because I was looking at some of the guys, and like they don't all look. They're not in like the same shape that you'd imagine as an athlete, but like any other.
But it'd be different.
But it's different.
Kinds.
Yeah. You wouldn't necessarily be like super muscly or even like super like lean, but it's like it's core strength and it's like leg strength. I imagine
mainly legs. I bet all their legs are like
like cyclists
huge.
Almost.
Yeah.
There's some interesting music you mentioned. There's a part around here where there's kind of like a spooky like fiddle thing. It's like and there's a bit later where there's a guy playing a violin.
Yeah, for ages.
I think it was the same guy, the Portuguese guy that was talking and kept cutting to him playing a violin. It was like in black and white in like a forest. It's really weird addition. That felt like a YouTube documentary. Like we need some background stuff.
This is a bit we get onto it and talk about toe skiing and paddle skiing.
Okay.
And like you're saying, paddle skiing you kind of paddle in, toe skiing is a jet ski coming in. And they talk about how like for a while jet skis were kind of looked down upon, but as they kind of whereas people realized you could get in situations you couldn't paddle into.
Yeah, because it's kind of a case. It's a case with a lot of like technological leaps. People are like, oh, it's kind of cheating a little bit because, like you say, they're using it to get much further out where you couldn't normally get and catch waves at a further distance or maybe near rocks or something that might not be accessible normally. But yeah, like you say, they realize it opened up all these new possibilities.
Yeah, and because they were saying like sometimes you can't paddle to a wave in time.
Yeah,
and they're saying, and also because the size of the waves and stuff, when you've got the jet skis, you can go into more dangerous waves where people would have been reluctant before. So it showed surfers what can be done.
That's it. And it said then it went the other way, and then paddle surfers started paddling out to these places that they didn't realize they could go to before as well.
Exactly.
So kind of, and there's a bit around here where it shows a couple of like the old dogs like talking about like the origins, and there's a guy, I think he says it's even from the earliest the 60s, early big wave surfing.
I think he said I've got the 50s in North California where they first started doing stuff.
They say then it moved to Australia, I think he says in like the 70s. So so I just went back one decade, but it may have been even the 50s. And there's like a quick little bit going through. I think in a way it would have been good to see, I know it's not what it's about, but maybe have that as a thing and go through, because I know there's certain little there'll be loads of interesting stories throughout that, but I guess that's not the focus of the whole thing. But maybe start with that. I don't know.
It's quite interesting seeing that,
be critical of something like
seeing how they've got to where they are now.
And because I think that was what you're saying. It started with they were talking about all the paddling in stuff, and then it's like we had this big leap to using that, and they kind of talk about the limits of each style a little bit, but generally speaking it seems to be quite like you guys do this, or we both kind of, it's not like a big deal who does what.
It's more about just the wave itself. Like it doesn't matter as much how you got there.
Although what's interesting is with that record with Aaron Golds earlier, it specifically says paddling, so obviously they do differentiate between the two things, which makes sense because there's a difference.
You mentioned before about the technology and stuff here, and they go into a bit here where they said like it used to be a case like 15, 20 years ago that you'd turn up to a beach in like Australia and you'd wait months for like a good wave. But now they said they're all like expert meteorologists now because they all can like forecast when the exact like moment there's going to be a big wave, which means they can just turn up on the day.
They say like, even down to the minute, and there's like websites and apps that you can use to track them ahead of time, and they're pretty accurate and stuff like that. So it means that you don't have to almost waste your whole time waiting for something. So
I guess before like 20, 30 years ago, these people who were super keen could ride like 2 big waves like a year, like 2 like 20 plus actual, foot waves a year. Whereas these guys do that like in a week.
And that's what they say, that it allowed them to do these tours where it was almost mapped out. I think it's across the world even, because they say, I think 2009 was the first big wave tour. Maybe there was one before that.
2009. So they said
World tour, sorry.
They had a WTC event in 96, but that was just like going to a big beach and all kind of showing off their, they were the first like big wave organization, the WTC. I think it was 2009 when they actually had a world tour, because they could go to California, Australia, Hawaii, all these places, and it's I think that's quite fun that they can actually map it out. And they said near the beginning that like they turn up to places and you just see people you know. So I guess they're all flying around the world and just bumping into each other.
It's quite a small community in a lot of ways, or at least the ones who are like fully into it. It's probably a handful of people. I think Tahiti was one of the places that we had earlier. I think maybe the one where the guy, one of the incidents that happened, either the guy break his legs or the other one. And then they start talking about place in Portugal called Nazara.
And it's quite a sweet story, because it starts with this guy who's from this little village in Portugal who's like talking about these amazing waves, and he was like trying to get it known to these people that these big waves, and he was talking to this guy, I think his name was Greg.
Was he the guy who was emailing?
He was like having emailed back and forth for 5 years, and he was like he finally went down there and he was like, holy fuck, these waves are great.
And some of these were insane. And this is when like he's saying like, or one of the guys is like, the fishermen, as soon as you get there, the fishermen are like, don't go out there, we've lost so many people in these waves, like just from boats. And then there's just like a load of these crazy guys from all over the world.
I think Greg's saying that like in a lot of locations that aren't just like the main ones, when you're kind of scouting out looking for places, you'll maybe get like one like 25-foot wave like a year, and he was like, in Navarre it's a 30-foot wave like every other day, and it was like
crazy. Some of these were like the biggest ones, like I think it was one of the last ones that we see was like fucking like like a fucking Roland Emmerich film shit. Like it was fucking like compared to the 80-foot one that we saw, and I don't know if it was partly like the way it was shot.
Yeah,
but compared to the one, it looked like 4 times bigger.
This was one of those shots that I remember of all the people kind of standing, and because this Navarre is on like the top of a cliff, this little village, and it's these people standing at the edge, and the wave is just like so much higher than them, and it's like. It is funny Cameron, but it's just like, this is fucking insane. And there's these big rocks and stuff, and you're like, this is, like you say, what surfing would look like in like a Roland Emmerich film.
It is mad, honestly.
And I was like, this is absolutely insane. Because a lot of them were saying about how they're always like scouting out new locations and finding places to surf. And Navarre was like, they're like, wow. And it was added to like the world tour and stuff almost immediately. People were like, holy fuck, how do we not know about this place?
They were saying, like it really got a lot of like publicity and stuff like that. I'm just trying to find like a height for it because I can't see. I've got some great pictures here. There's a Guardian article which came up straight away. But I can't see anything particular up here. But it was definitely bigger than it was like
a good 100 foot.
At least 100 foot, and it looks insane. If anybody, Nazare is Nazare surfing. If you just look up that on Google Images, you'll get some great pictures straight away.
Yeah, and then there's one guy right at the end who kind of says this bit. Christina laughed like she was like, this
I think I know what you mean.
Where he's like we know the biggest mountains in the world. Like people have climbed like Everest, but there's still so much undiscovered in the big wave world. We don't know where all the big waves are.
And it's like, well, I mean, someone knows as well. No, I thought it might be the same guy. He's like, I'd recommend it to everyone. Like, if you were terminally ill, if you could experience big wave surfing, it would like bring your life back. He's like, maybe it'd even reverse your disease. And it's like, and then it kind of closes the main thing before a couple of little bits. It's like one of the guys is like, we need to find a Navarre that is safe to paddle surf. Because that one, because it's so dangerous, you have to
like I said, they're always on the hunt for new locations, which is pretty cool. It feels like all like kind of major sports have their kind of early days where things are getting organized and stuff, and it feels like it's been around a bit, but it's kind of in those early stages of actually becoming an organized worldwide thing.
I'm surprised it's not the kind of thing that like Red Bull have jumped on, because they love like an extreme sports
one of the guys was wearing a Red Bull hat during the whole thing, so I don't know if he's sponsored by Red Bull or something.
But it's kind of thing like you'd think at some, I guess because of kind of how the conditions are so unpredictable in a certain way, it's kind of hard to set up like a big publicized event maybe.
And I guess because I know they said they can forecast it stuff, but it can still be a bit unpredictable.
That's what I mean. So you can't get like a whole spectator sport situation, whereas with lots of these things you can completely set.
I think it's one of those that, I mean, it doesn't really show in this, but surf in general doesn't really lend itself as a spectator sport.
No, and that's one of the things they do talk about.
Yeah, for every wave that they spend like 5 seconds surfing, it's like an hour of them going out there, waiting around.
Especially with the big wave stuff. And one of the guys, he says like the reason why there is a bit more appeal, and I think he said like one of the competitions did quite well spectator-wise, like afterwards, was because even as like a normal person, you can kind of recognize the danger and the scale of a big wave competition, whereas like a normal surfing thing is like, okay, cool, like it's it's fine. But I mean, it was a fun watch, wasn't it? Overall,
I did enjoy it. I felt like it was too long.
It was.
We saw, although like it was all cool, I did feel myself. I was like, I'd seen a lot of this already. Like it was cool surfing shots, but like a load of them.
And I think because even though like certain shots, like the bits towards the end and when it's kind of new at the start, were really like, wow, this is amazing. When it's kind of the medium-sized waves and there's not much drama going on, they can kind of mold together a little bit. And when, like you say, the narrative is not really matching with it, kind of thing, with the visuals, it feels a little bit like, okay, get to the next story almost, you know.
But I think if somebody likes surfing, I mean, they've probably already, if they like surfing and like documentaries, they've probably already seen this. But if you like surfing or documentaries, I reckon this is probably worth watching as well. Just because it is an insight, and like I've never like experienced this kind of thing, so it's like I would learn a lot from it, and that's what documentaries are meant to do at the end of the day, isn't it? So I was like, I feel like I know a lot more about big wave surfing now than I did last week.
I didn't even really know it was a thing, to be honest. So yeah, I've gone from zero to hero in that sense, for sure.
Hero?
Yeah, zero to hero.
Bigging yourself up as a surfing hero.
Yeah, surfing hero. That's
You're the Aaron of our generation.
I'm the Aaron Gold. Aaron Silver, more like.
Yeah.
Aaron Copper.
Aaron Tin.
Aaron Paper.
Yeah. Have you got anything else to say about this?
No, I guess it's just ratings time then, isn't it?
Yes. I was thinking about this because it's kind of hard to rate because it's documentary.
Yeah, I don't want to be too harsh because I did enjoy it for what it was.
I did enjoy it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.
That's what I was thinking 6 at one point, but I think there's not that much wrong with it. It's just not necessarily.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that it's a bit long. So that's one of the few things I can criticize. Yeah. But generally, I was like, no, this was good fun. The cast were likable.
Yeah, good people. Like the editing was pretty tight. I know that we kind of semi-complained about the amount of just surfing shots in it, but that is kind of the point of it.
Yeah.
So if it's not for us, I think I'll go for a 7 as well for this one. Yeah.
Cool. So that is the Big Wave Project. There is a second Big Wave project. God knows what they can cover in that.
Well, maybe they found a new Navarre. I don't know, but it's I think it's just going through film festivals end of 2022, so it will be on release at some point. It didn't come up when I initially looked for it, but maybe we'll cover that next year when it gets a release.
On our list to revisit at some point, which will be nice. But yeah, that is the Big Wave Project.
That's the Big Wave Project.
Now it's time for Personal Projects.
Yeah, nothing personal. Projects.
So, Sam, what have you been watching, reading, creating, playing?
You got me.
Or anything else?
I don't think I really have been playing much.
Oh, damn it, the one time I remember.
No, I've been playing a bit of Breath of the Wild because I said to you just before recording, they've announced that Breath of the Wild 2, or I think it's called Tears of the Kingdom, is coming out at the end of May this year. So it's coming really fast.
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild has been out for a while. It's just that you only got it recently.
Well, no, but I mean, like the from like announcement of dates. It's very quick. So that'll probably be the last great game of the Switch before they move into the next Switch 2 or whatever it will be, which is probably not anytime soon. It's making so much money. I think it's like the best-selling console still.
Yeah, I mean they hung around with the Wii for years and never brought out a Wii 2.
No, there was a Wii U.
There was the Wii U, yeah.
But that was kind of a prototype Switch because it had like the little handheld thing, and it was. Yeah, but
Nintendo don't feel the need to as much as PlayStation.
They've got
Xbox.
A very interesting. They until recently, or maybe they still do. They've got a very old-fashioned, like business model where all the people on the board have to agree to any decision, which is something that you don't see in like more Western kind of business models.
It's usually just majority vote.
And because a lot of them are quite old guys, they all have to vote on the same thing. So it's quite a kind of conservative method of doing business, which
makes sense for Nintendo.
Makes sense, yeah. But I've been playing a bit of that, but not much else in the playing wise. I have been watching something which I meant to talk about last week, and I completely forgot to talk about it, which is the Last of Us TV series.
Yes, which I've heard is amazing.
Yes, so it's 2 episodes at time of recording. By the time this comes out, the 3rd episode will have just been released. It's incredible. It's a really, really, really good adaptation, which moves away from the story from the games in a kind of expands on it, which is what you'd imagine for something like this. It's quite funny at times. Like there's quite good moments of kind of character levity, but it spends time with certain characters that you didn't get time with in the original. It's quite scary, as you can imagine at times.
Cool.
And it's just like the world building is incredible. Like the opening scene is completely unrelated from the main kind of plot, but it's set in like the 1960s, and it's on like a talk show where they're talking about possible kind of outbreaks in the future. And this one scientist who I can't remember the name of the actor, but he plays in Agents of Shield. He is the Scottish guy who makes the framework.
Yes, that guy who's in The Mummy.
He's in The Mummy, yeah. He has just this bit part in that, and he starts talking about. So I don't know how much you know about Last of Us.
Not much.
It's a fungal outbreak, cordyceps, which are a real thing. Which it's almost like it controls ants and stuff like that, and makes them go to high places to release spores, basically. And he goes on this whole like really intense like monologue about how this could eventually, adapt to humans and that sort of thing. And everyone's like, really, fungus? And then he goes into like detail. And it's a really interesting thing, which is like not in the games at all. And it's just a nicely shot like intro of a talk segment.
John Hannah.
John Hannah. I was thinking John Sim, but then that's the other guy. And John Hamm, of course, is a completely different guy. So I heard, yeah. But yeah, it is just really good. And the second episode as well opens with a kind of slightly separate thing. It's very well made. I think I said to you before, one of the showrunners is the guy who did Chernobyl, so it's got that kind of prestige television kind of
I also
vibe
saw that he did like Scary Movie 3 and 4.
Oh, really?
Did like superhero movie, and did Hangover 2 and 3.
Okay.
And then did Chernobyl. People were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, strange. Well, the guy who did Hangover went and did Joker, Todd Phillips.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
You do see that quite often with like comedy actors going into drama roles and then being like incredible at drama because they've got this like mastery of kind of emotion and acting.
It's really interesting. And then the other way with people like Leslie Nielsen, who's a really dramatic actor, was like, oh, actually, I can do this to be funny.
Yeah, very straight. I actually did watch Hot Shots Part 2. Because I'd seen the first one a couple of years ago, and that second one is very racist.
Oh god,
it's very racist because it's post Desert Storm, so there's lots of Arabic jokes in that, which you can kind of imagine they've got a Saddam Hussein character in it, and they don't ever name him, but it's like incredibly obvious it's him. And I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest.
Good.
yeah, I didn't really enjoy. What have you been watching?
So I went to the cinema on Monday to watch Enys Men.
Right, okay. Don't know what that is.
It's spelled ENYS space MEN. It's this director, Mark Jenkins, this Cornish guy, who this is his second film, and he's got quite a unique filming technique in that there's old like rolly cameras where you literally roll the film. He films it like that and then like adds sound after.
Right. Okay.
So
I think they did some of that for The Lighthouse, I think. Maybe.
Yeah. So his first one was this film Bait that was really well received. So got given a bit more money to do this.
Okay.
And it's kind of a bit of like a psychological horror-esque thing. It's about this woman who lives on this island by herself off the coast of Cornwall.
Okay.
And is doing some like environmental stuff where every day she goes out, puts a thermometer next to these rare flowers, checks the temperature, writes it in a book, writes no change. And it's kind of that for like 45 minutes. And you're like,
it kind of gets
weird and intense. It's set in the mid 70s.
Okay, cool.
But then it gets really weird, and it's like you don't really know what's going on. It's shot really well, but like
is it kind of like, is she going mad from the isolation and the kind of repetitive nature of
definitely
the work
that there's also she might be there's this big rock outside her house which apparently is a thing for the spirits of like sailors and stuff that have died nearby. At the end of the film I was like, she could be insane. She could be in like some sort of purgatory. She could also be the rock.
Right.
Like she could be the spirit without realizing it, because there's bits, it used to be like a mining island. There's bits where you see miners like all like, it's always number 7.
Right.
Seeing 7 miners, you see like these little girls singing. You see a young version of her.
It's almost like she's seeing it through, like she's present in all the different time
there's
periods.
one guy who like drops off some supplies, but he dies, and part of his boat she picked up earlier in the film. So it's kind of like you don't know when stuff's happening.
Okay.
It's a bit of a mind
I
fuck.
quite like that kind of time distortion.
Yeah,
kind of idea.
and it's kind of like this all's kind of happening at once. And
so it is literally 45 minutes then?
No, it's an hour and a half.
Oh, okay,
but first 45 minutes is mostly this mundane stuff.
I see, just the build.
But yeah, and then eventually these flowers get some lichen on them.
Okay.
So she notes that down, and then she also starts she's got a big scar across her like belly that also starts getting lichen on it. So it's like, is she insane or is she the island? Kind of.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Okay. Did you like it?
Yeah.
I imagine it's not for everyone based on your reaction.
No, definitely. It's very like artsy. It's a proper like, sort of like Comedia, of course. It's a very like art house film. Cool. But the sound editing is really interesting as well because there's no score whatsoever.
Right. Okay.
It's just there's just constant like these horrible noises. So like early on, she has like this generator to power her house.
Yeah,
it's a really annoying noise. By the end of it, that's one of the better noises. Like she's got a radio. It's just like the static really loudly.
Right. Okay.
And it's just kind of like, oh, this is unpleasant on the ears, but it's kind of a horror in that way.
So it's almost building this like soundscape of
and you're becoming like increasingly uncomfortable.
Yuck.
And then like the rock disappears, and then she's herself, and then the house. It's really fucking weird. But it was
would you say it has to be seen in cinemas, or could you get a similar? If you watched it in the dark room. Big TV.
Potentially, I think cinema would definitely help because I think
you're forced to kind of be
focus on it. I think because of the mundane first half, which is there intentionally to kind of create this loneliness feeling.
Yeah.
If you watch it at home, it could be very easy to pick up your phone and then you wouldn't be drawn into it as much.
You might miss a little detail or something like that. Okay, cool.
I was sitting front row in the cinema as well, so it's literally just like. Wow, like
cool.
It's uncomfortable but really well made, and just it was very low budget.
And
it looks like it was filmed in the 70s. But
that sounds
interesting.
fun. I'd not heard of it at all. So
no, not had I. My friend was on around mine on Sunday. He was like, I'm going to see this film tomorrow. Do you want to come? And I was like, sure, why not? It's been a while since I went to see some weird art house film at the cinema.
Yeah, it's always nice, isn't it? Yeah, especially like you say, Comedia. They do some good little. Like, is it being shown a fair few times, or did you not notice?
I don't know because I got a ticket online like the day before, so I was just like,
It's not. I mean, even it's not on the same scale, but like when we went to see Shin Ultraman, it's quite nice to kind of check out little things that are only on once or twice. I mentioned to you Donnie Darko's on at the Odeon. That's on Tuesday. I didn't end up getting tickets, but I'm still, I still might go see it because you've never seen it, have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it might be.
Oh, you're quite busy next week, aren't you? So.
Yeah, I think we said Tuesday we might be doing
we might
this.
do the podcast. Okay, we'll figure it out off pod. You watched anything else? I've got a couple other little bits.
So one other thing, I finished Lost. I finished Lost.
How many times is that?
I think it's number 8. And once again, as always happens at the end, I get really angry at the people who are like, oh, they're all in purgatory. The ending didn't make sense. I'm like, there's literally got a character who explains the ending, and it's like,
is that good writing?
Well, not in like an obvious way, but like, it's like, how could you like watch this conversation and not understand what's going on?
I've never seen a single episode, as I said to you, many moons ago.
It's good, and I thoroughly enjoyed the run through. There's a very emotional episode towards the end where the two main characters die. There's a lot of background to it. Christina got home and I was sitting on the sofa like tears going on my face. I was like, I forgot that this happened. And she wanted to talk about work or something. I was like, you're gonna need to give me 10 minutes till the end of this episode because it's something.
This is more important than whatever you've got to talk about.
But it's great. There's a reason I rewatched it for the 8th time.
Clearly, Have you been watching any more Doctor Who or that?
No, I think Christina was watching something else. She's been watching the new season of Death in Paradise, which is like her favourite show.
Okay,
which is it's a camp silly BBC. There's a murder happened on an island,
like Midsummer Murders, but on an island.
Yeah,
it's a bit more modern than that, isn't it?
It's always funny, and they I can't remember what the detective, because they change detectives every now and then.
Okay.
Can't remember what his name. You'd probably recognise him from stuff, but I saw a TikTok with him because a running joke with fans of Death in Paradise that at the start you'll see like a really brutal murder, and then it'll cut to their really like upbeat, dancey like intro music, like da, 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 da. And it's like it's very funny. He's like, "There's a murder." Da, 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 da. It's very silly, but it's quite good fun. Anything else from you?
Yeah, I've got a couple bits. We started watching last night. It was on Disney Plus, and I'd seen like an advert on my phone or something like that. It's called Extraordinary is probably how it is. It's Disney Plus. It's a British show, which is interesting for Disney Plus. Though.
Yeah,
it's like, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a superhero comedy, which sounds not super, maybe super a bit. And so you're following one main girl who's 25 and she lives in London. She's an Irish girl, and she's got a couple of mates, and she hasn't got her power yet. So everyone else around the age of 18, you get your power. It just happens. And there's some interesting world building. In the second episode, you find out it only happened 10 years ago. I still don't know why it happened, but it's just like a sitcom set within this world.
Right.
That
sounds quite fun.
There's some very fun bits where
extraordinary.
Yeah, they're 20-minute episodes. It's got good soundtrack, like nice kind of mix of modern songs and more classic songs. There's some really interesting jokes. There's one of the main girls is like she can like channel the spirits of dead people, so they just confirm afterlife within like 10 minutes of the first episode. And she's trying to cheer up her flatmate, the Irish girl, the main character, and she channels Hitler. And then they say like the Jews are doing really well, and Hitler's like no. and her boyfriend is like a South Asian guy, and he's like, and we're having sex all the time. We're having interracial relationships. And Hitler's like, no, stop bringing me back. And it's just her with like glowing eyes doing like a Hitler voice, like dubbed over. And then like on the other side of that, there's like quite a hard hitting emotional thing with the channeling like loved ones as well within the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's they take in a stray cat in the first episode that turns out to be a guy who's got stuck in a shape-shifting of a cat for like a certain amount of time, and that's kind of something that's started picking up. It's a little bit like a kind of Misfits kind of situation.
I was in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's like that. It's less bleak than that, and like it doesn't take itself quite as seriously, but yeah, it's really good fun. I just kind of chose it randomly last night when we were having dinner, it's 8 episodes or something, so it breezed to get through, I'm sure, but definitely would recommend it.
Nice.
There's a funny bit where in the second episode she's trying to like jolt herself into getting the power with like adrenaline. And one of the things she hates doing is going to the dentist. And as she's walking into the dentist's office, there's like this creepy music playing. And the dentist's like, they should have warned you. My power is that people generate their own soundtrack around me. And then when she like gets the drill out, it's like, doo-doo-doo.
That's such a bad power for a dentist.
I know. But the funny thing is because it's been 10 years, some people have jobs that fit their powers and some people don't.
Yeah.
Like there's like Uber people that fly around and have little like harnesses for you to like attach on. Like the world building stuff is quite creative.
Nice, I might check that out.
Yeah, it's good fun. So I would recommend that. I've been watching a couple other bits. I've back on True Detective season 2, which I started shortly after season 1. Enjoying it, but it is quite a lot to watch, so that's kind of a slow burner for us.
Open Disney Plus, the first thing at the top is Extraordinary.
Severance I've got back onto because I've got Apple TV Plus situation there, and I watched most of Sunshine on Monday night. Most of it. We had to stop because it was getting too late, so we got like half an hour left.
Sunshine is good.
Sunshine's very good. I'd seen it once when I was like 12 or something like that, and I think it went over my head a little bit, but
I think I first saw it like 5 or 6 years ago, so
yeah, I remembered certain bits. I remember when they go into the the other spaceship, the Icarus one, you start seeing like the flashes, which are like the crew photos.
Yeah,
there's some interesting kind of psychological kind of horror-y stuff in there. It
is really good. I never understood why people were like, oh, it suddenly changes like towards the end of the film. It's like, it's kind of creepy throughout.
It is kind of creepy throughout, and it reminded me a lot of certain other films I've seen, even like Gemini that we watched for the podcast. Like, it's like a much better version of lots of those kind of, you know, space trouble situation kind of thing. And because it was like 2007, I think it was. So and the cast is absolutely stacked. Like, it's got Michelle Yeoh in it. It's got Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Cillian Murphy. It's
got Rose McGowan, is it? No, not Rose McGowan. Rose, the one who's like the Australian Rose Byrne. Rose Byrne,
yeah.
Let me just look up Sunshine
it's
cast.
Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, isn't it?
Yeah. Sunshine cast. Chris Evans, and there's parts with Chris Evans where he's just no nonsense. He's taking the lead and he's just like doing what has to be done for the mission. I said to Amy, this 100% Captain America audition tape. They looked at this and went, this guy without the F-bombs. Benedict Wong's in it. He's not in it massively. And the Hiroyuki Sanada is someone that you see a lot. He's always
one of those people that's just in so much.
He's kind of been typecast a little bit as like either Yakuza boss or samurai. And Mark Strong, of course, makes a bit of an appearance in the kind of later half there. But there's loads of people in this cast. So I've no idea who they play, if they're just related. Like Colin Mockery's on there.
Colin Mockery?
Yeah, I don't know if he's like a voice or something.
He must be.
Or maybe he was just part of it. But I was actually listening to a podcast which had Brian Cox on it, the physicist. Right. And he was saying he was the science consultant for this film because he knows Danny Boyle from this and he's worked with him on a couple of things since. And he did the... there's like a couple of different commentaries and there's one that's Brian Cox where he talks about how accurate it is scientifically.
That's pretty cool.
That's quite fun. Like I think Brian Cox is here and there. Like I find him a bit like samey at times, but you know, he generally seems to be quite
a nice and positive guy. That can get a bit tedious and I prefer him to like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Who's just like, oh, look at me, I'm so smart.
There's like the Twitter exchanges where he just tries to be like a fucking lead balloon. He's like, actually, what's the leap year one?
That's exactly what I was about to look up because that is mine.
When he's like, see if you can find it. It's just him like poo-pooing people on Twitter. And it's like, you don't have to be a killjoy. Like, just because you're smart.
I saw one of this, but he was like, eclipses happen all the time, like it's not a big deal. And I was like, doesn't it happen all the time everywhere? And like it's like one small occasion that'll happen like once a decade.
Yeah, and it's like just because you've seen them more than most people doesn't mean it's not like fun and like interesting. Like,
he tweeted saying the leap day is misnamed. We're not leaping anywhere. The calendar is simply and abruptly catching up with Earth's orbit. And so I'm replying, if only there was a name for a sudden and abrupt lurch forward.
Yeah, absolutely summarizes that. Yeah. What a silly, smart man he is.
It's not that anybody else, but on Mercury, I'm 240 years old. And on Saturn, I'm just 2. And someone replied, since Saturn doesn't have a surface, you can't be on Saturn. Taste your own medicine.
You stupid motherfucker. Dear, oh dear. Have you got anything else? Have you got anything that you're planning on watching at all?
Loads of like series that I've been meaning. Now that I finished Lost, I'm like, shit. There was one on iPlayer that I remembered what it was. I spoke about looking for.
Oh
ages.
What was that? Yeah. So I was listening.
I can't remember what it's called. I put it on my.
It was really funny. You were like, "Oh, there's something I've been meaning to watch, and I can't remember what it is." I was like, "Well, that's why you haven't watched it, isn't it?"
I put it on my watch list on what's it called? iPlayer.
iPlayer, right?
How do you find your? Oh, my
I
program.
have no idea. I don't.
It's not. Come on.
Maybe you're not logged in.
That's it. Our flag means death.
Oh yes, so that is Taika Waititi and one of the Clements. No, Jermaine Clement. No, the other guy.
The other guy.
The guy from Flight of the Conchords who's like their manager. Yeah.
It's like a comedy about like pirates, essentially.
Yeah, so I've heard mixed things because it had a big fan base when it first started because it's got quite good like LGBTQI representation.
Right.
But I think when it got its release over here, I think the reactions critically weren't particularly good.
Yeah,
I think comedy can, I think comedy can be quite subjective.
Yeah, the Taika Waititi and the Flight of the Conchords guys are generally pretty funny. So
yeah, I feel like Taika Waititi as a person has kind of lost his kind of glow with me a little bit. I find him a bit annoying.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think some interviews he's kind of been he's been given so much kind of praise that his head's got a bit too big for his body, really.
But yeah, I'm planning on watching this at some point. I might watch that Extraordinary as well. But now that Lost is done, I've got more time to watch things. I'm also gonna plan on watching some of the Oscar nominees as we spoke about at the start. So I'll make my way through that list. We've probably got like a month until the awards, so I'll try and squeeze in as much as I can.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've watched, like, even for silver screens or, talking about it generally, we've watched at least a third of them, I think.
It's Black Panther, Top Gun, and Avatar.
Oh, is Black Panther on there as well?
I think so, yeah. Or maybe not. I think, What's Her Face got supported for Best Supporting Actress.
It's All Quiet on the Western Front, which I think is on Netflix.
I've been meaning to watch that as well.
Avatar, Way of Water, Banshees of Inisherin, which is on Disney+.
Yeah.
Elvis, which I've kind of been curious about.
I don't like Baz Luhrmann films.
Do you not? No.
So I'm a bit reluctant, but I might watch it.
Yeah, Everything Everywhere, The Fabelmans, which is in the cinemas still, I think. So to be honest, I'm not that interested in watching that. I will watch it on home. But there's Tar, which I wasn't interested in when I first saw the trailer way back when. I think it was when I saw Bodies. So it was like November or something like that, October. Pardon me. But Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, which I heard loads of adverts on podcast things. It sounds like an old people film. It's like, oh, Judi Dench is on a boat and everyone's talking about, capitalism and I'm a Russian capitalist and you're an American communist. Aren't we a funny bunch? And we're all stuck on a boat and someone's sad.
Right.
I might be thinking of a different film.
I might watch that.
Black comedy film. It's got... Maybe that's a different film that I'm thinking. I think that was a different film that I was thinking of. But no, it's got Woody Harrelson in it amongst other people.
Great.
And the last one is Women Talking.
Women Talking, yes.
I haven't heard of that one. I mean, I've heard the name, but I don't know.
Yeah, most because I tend to avoid trailers as much as I can these days and go into as blind as I can. So it's like Tar, I don't really know anything about, but I'm like, I'll watch Tar at some point.
Oh my God, the opening of this film sounds horrific, but yeah, I accidentally read the first line of that. So yeah, cool. I would try my best to watch at least a couple of those. And I hope that one of them is the one that wins. So I
hope that Everything Everywhere All at Once is the one that wins.
It may well be, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but that wraps us up, I believe.
It does.
If you enjoyed this episode and all of our other episodes, you don't have to have enjoyed all of them. If you enjoyed this one, but also maybe you enjoy all of them,
yep.
Either way, give us 5 stars. Much appreciated.
It's an and/or situation.
The and/or finished ages ago, Sam.
And/or season 2, though.
Yeah.
What a scoop.
What a scoop. Andy Serkis. But yeah, check out our clips of that if you've just listened to this episode for the first time. But yeah, you can also get in contact with us, can't you, Sam?
Yes, you can. If you want to send us an email, you can hit us up at the projectpod@gmail.com. So if you've got any suggestions for project-related media that we can cover, or any real-life interesting projects that one of us can do a bit of research on and report back. We haven't done a little report for a little while.
No, now that I've got my laptop, I've got one planned. I think I need to check if it's viable, but maybe I'll start on that at some point.
Other than that, if you want to find us on social medias, if you want to follow us for any clips like the Andy Serkis one or the Project Wolf Hunting Kill Count, you can find all our social medias in the link tree in the episode description.
Yeah.
And also, of course, as with anything, if you like this episode, please share it with people who might be interested. If you've got any surfers or any big wave surfers in your life, please send them this. Then they probably have a good old laugh about how little we understand the concept of what were they called? Slab waves. I was going to call them shelf waves then. So there's another little misunderstanding there.
I don't think we ever pretended to be surfer experts.
We should have come in like, yo, yeah, I'm a surfer. That's how they speak, right? Okay, so that was a nice little bit for you surfers out there. But yeah, no, thank you for listening. And yeah, do share this if you think anyone would like it.
Yes, please do. I, Lewis, shall hear you, listener, next week.
And I, Sam, will see you on the big wave, baby.
Oh, baby.
Hang loose, motherfucker. Bye. Bye.